Hi everyone! Thank you so much for clicking on another one of my videos. If this is your first time, hi, my name is Emmy. I am married with 2 children, and today we are going to be talking about some side hustle income. This is different from my normal videos. Usually I like to post videos on how I plan on getting my family out of $200,000 worth of debt. I like to do budget videos, digital cash stuffing, all of that jazz. So if that's something that you are interested in following us on, then please hit the subscribe button, like this video, and leave me a comment down below so I know you want to see more videos like that. I have been doing sort of like a side hustle, a very small side hustle for a while. I like to do some baking on the side, so I make custom cookies, cakes, cupcakes, cake pops, all that stuff. And it was just a fun way for me to practice a hobby. And I really sold to just like friends and family. And I may have done like 1 or 2 sales a month, and it wasn't really enough to where I thought I should be including it in our budget or in our income. But in the month of April, I made a significant amount of profit to the point where I thought that I really should start tracking this for tax purposes and just so I know how much money I can actually pocket from this. I thought keeping track of everything would be beneficial, and then maybe showing you guys how I'm keeping track of it. This might be something that's helpful for you too. I don't know. Or maybe you're going to watch me do this and tell me that I'm doing this all completely wrong. I have never kept track of my income this way before because I've always been a salaried employee. So like all of my benefits, my health insurance, my 401k, my taxes, all of that stuff is taken out of my paycheck and I don't have to calculate any of it. I was a teacher for about 10 years, and then I left the classroom to work for this insurance company where they also take out those deductions from my paycheck. So with this side hustle, I have to do a lot of those things myself. So I watched a couple of YouTube videos and how a couple of YouTubers keep track of their side hustle. What I noticed when I was looking at different YouTube videos is everyone's different, but it seems like a lot of people put away 25% for taxes. Some people have been putting away 30, 35, but I thought 25% was a good amount to put away towards taxes. And then supplies, I noticed because of, the rising food prices and such, I felt 50% was a good amount to put away for supplies, which meant that my take-home pay at the end of it all would be the remaining 25%. So I created a little side hustle income tracker. This is my tracker that I created. I actually have in an Excel spreadsheet all of my customer names, contact information, the details of what it is that they ordered, but just for camera purposes and to keep everything anonymous, I took all of those details out and just put the necessary information for our purposes here today. I'm not sure if any of you guys are interested in seeing this at all because this isn't really like YouTube, Google AdSense, Etsy. It's not anything like that. This is a very different kind of side hustle. So with my baking business, what I do is I have to factor in the cost of materials. I have to factor in the cost of like butter, egg, sugar, flour, all those things. But I also have to factor in like packaging when I put the cakes and cupcakes in boxes, or if I have to individually wrap the cookies or cake pops. So all of those things are factored in. And what I've noticed is I have been undercharging my customers. And my husband says so too. Like there are times where I'll stay up late working on an order and he's like, "Are you charging enough for all this work that you're doing?" And in my mind, I'm thinking, I think I'm charging a fair price for what I would want to pay for something like that. And based on like how much the materials cost. But what I really need to start doing is figuring out, is it worth my time? Because again, this is a side hustle. This isn't my main source of income. So I need to be charging prices that make it worth my time. So you'll see in my table here, I have a column that says, is it worth it? After I get paid all of the things, subtract my expenses and my take-home pay, was it worth all the time that I put in? And I just put a check mark or an X. So let's walk through some of this, shall we? Zoom in just a little. Okay, again, I wanted to keep this as anonymous as possible. So over here on the left, I didn't write down names, but I labeled each order that I did by an invoice number that I sent all of my customers. So based on what they wanted, whether that was a cake or cookies or whatever, I gave them a quote. Some of them paid exactly what it is I quoted them, like invoice number 8 paid me $40. But some people decided to leave a tip, which is completely optional. I don't require a tip, but some people like to do that. So like invoice number 7, I quoted them $107 and they gave me a $10 tip. So what I've been doing is I calculate the 25% taxes based on what they actually give me, because I'm pretty sure that's how taxes will be calculated at the end of the year. 25% out of what I'm given, 25% of what they actually paid me, and that's all here that I have to put aside for taxes. So let's go ahead and add up these things here. So I quoted my orders $472, which I know isn't a lot, but when it's not your main source of income, it's a lot. But what I actually got was $510. Okay, so 25% of all of that went to taxes. Which is $127.50. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money to not be mine. Is that just me? Okay. 50% of whatever I actually got went towards supplies. And then for each order, there were times where I had to spend money for certain things. Now, let me see if I can find a good example. Okay, invoice number 9. 50% of the order only left 15% for supplies, but I actually spent $46.91, which seems ridiculous, but all of that spending was not only for that order. This order probably needed just a few of the items that I bought. Even though it's factored in the expenses for this invoice, you'll see that it lasts for the next couple of orders, because these next few orders, the expenses were very little because it all came out from here. And I organized it because invoice number 9, just the time frame of when that was, this is when I bought all of those supplies, and it just fell within that time period. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so let's tally up all the supplies and expenses. I'm just double checking. Yeah, so 25%, that would make this 50%. Yep, that works. Okay, so this is how much I spent during this time period. I spent $177.10. Okay, so here's where things get a little bit tricky. So what I did is I took the 50% from supplies, subtracted the expenses that I spent, and then that should be what goes into my supply deposit. Like I have a Qube Money envelope for the deposit of all the what am I trying to say? I have a Qube Money envelope where I can use from that pot or from that envelope. That's where I can buy more materials if I need to. So if I subtract from here what I spent during that invoice time, this is what goes into it. So as you can see, because I spent a lot more during this time period, this one ended up in the negative. And then what's tricky is for invoice 10, 11, 12, and 13, the only expenses I had were the Venmo fees. I get paid through Venmo as a business, and Venmo takes a little cut whenever you're paid as a business as opposed to just for personal use. So Venmo already took those fees out for me. But it took it out of this, so I still need to subtract it. Yeah, so that's right. That means these Venmo fees already came out. That one, that one, that one, and that one. Okay. If I subtract expenses from supplies, that's what I'm left with. Okay, so how much is going to go into the supply deposit? Okay, so then what's going in there is $77.90. It's not a lot. Not a lot at all. And then 25% for take home is the same as taxes. So after all of that, what it comes down to is I spent a lot of money on expenses. It was a lot. Now, granted, there were some things that I bought, especially for invoice number 15, that are going to hold me over for a while for May. So even though it seems like I spent a lot now, a lot of it can be evenly distributed. It's just hard. I would have to when it comes to baking, if I want to calculate the real expenses for every single individual order, I would have to calculate what a big bag of flour costs and then divide up the cost by how much flour I actually used for the baked good, which is just too much. That's just too much calculations, and I don't need to do that right now because I'm not, a bakery. I'm still just a home business. So instead of doing that, this just is easier for me. So in the end, I have $77.90 that I can put in the supply envelope. So that way I have that for any additional expenses that might come up later, like for May's orders, which I already have some booked for May. Yay, exciting. But what I really like is this. I have an additional income that I didn't really think was possible, in the past I might sell one cake and then, expenses for that one cake would be about half. And so I'd take home a good $30 or something. It wasn't enough to keep track. But April, the majority of these orders were Easter orders, and you can kind of see how I grouped these together. These invoices were all my Easter pre-order packages, and so over here, even though this one seemed like it wasn't worth my time because I spent a lot on supplies, overall I think the Easter pre-order was a success, so it's something that I'll think about in the future. And these other orders that have an X next to them, it's not even so much like I overspent on supplies. Even this one, it just, made me realize that I need to value my time more. The things that say, no, it was not worth it, then that tells me, okay, I need to up my prices. And if people really want my products, if people really want those baked goods, they'll pay them. But some things are just not worth my time for the amount of money that I charge. So it's good for me to know and to kind of, I don't know, like hold myself accountable, I guess, that I am worth it, that my time is valuable, and I not only need to charge based on the supply costs, but also the amount of time it takes me to get these things done. Anyway, I feel like I've rambled for a very long time. I hope that this was helpful to you. Maybe, I don't know, maybe not at all. But I wanted to show you how I decided to organize my baking side hustle. If this is something you are interested in seeing more of, please leave me a comment down below. Otherwise, I don't have to show this to you guys, but I wanted to show you where this extra income is coming from, just so you could, you know, see a little breakdown there. Plus, it's good practice for me. Like I said, with my salary job, everything was pretty much done for me. And so I need to know how to do this myself. So anyway, thank you so much if you stuck around this long. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment box down below, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye-bye.